Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of our Today I Want to Be Career Exploration interview. I'm really excited about our professional here on the show today and our co host as well. We will be talking to veterinarian Dr. Tyra Davis, and she is actually going to share with us more about her experience as a veterinarian and just the daily things that she goes through as a veterinarian as well. Like I said, I'm really excited about our co-host that's going to be asking these questions. So if you all have kids, if you have a student, if you have niece or nephews, make sure you help them to tune in today so they can actually post their questions as well. So if this is your first time ever tuning into the show, you might be wondering, what in the world is Today I Want to Be? Today I Want to Be is a company that I actually created. And one of the products that we create is a calendar. And so for 2020, I actually featured Black women. So, that representation matters so much. And so that other girls and boys can actually see themselves working in different professions and be able to explore these professions by asking professionals that's working in it right in the thick of it and ask them questions and figure out if this is a career field that they're interested in going in. If you're interested in joining our email list, make sure you go ahead and post your email down there in the comment field, and that will be great. Don't forget, this is a show for kids and youth, so they can ask Dr. Tyra Davis questions as well. So, Dr. Davis, if you could just go ahead and let us know just a little bit more about yourself, then that would be great.
Okay, my name is Tyra Davis Brown. I am a small animal veterinarian. I am from New Iberia, Louisiana, but I currently live in Baton Rouge. And I own a small animal practice in Hammond, which is about 35 miles east of Baton Rouge, more towards New Orleans. I've been in practice for 17 years, small animal exclusive. I have a 17-year-old son who is not interested in veterinary medicine at all. Um, he'll be graduating next spring, and I'm looking forward to that next chapter. The
Excellent.
emptiness, yeah.
Excellent, excellent. So I know my nephew, he's actually 17 and he'll be a senior this year. Give it up for the seniors in the house.
Yay! And the parents of seniors, yay!
Oh, so Asha, can you go ahead and tell us just a little bit more about yourself and also what you want to be when you grow up?
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Asha, and I am also a senior this year at Winter Park High School. And after I graduate, I would like to become a doctor that specializes in sports medicine.
Excellent, excellent.
Awesome.
So now we also have Jayla here on the show with us today. Jayla, if you can tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you want to be when you grow up.
Hi, I'm Jayla. I'm in eighth grade this year, and I
Nice.
go to McBride Middle School in Belleville, Michigan. And
Oh,
I want to be a veterinarian when I grow up.
what? Come on,
Yes,
veterinarian
yes. We have some information for you for sure.
in the house. So now, Nadia, tell us about yourself and what you want to be when you grow up.
Hi, my name is Nadia Davis. I go to Obama Magnet, and when I grow up, I want to be a doctor that delivers babies.
Oh, girl, you a good
Congratulations.
one. You a
Okay,
good
good
one. Cause I'm
deal.
like, oh no, but Nadia,
Yes, yes,
congratulations.
yes. I know some doctors that deliver babies. Some of
That's
my friends.
excellent.
Hmm.
So now Nadia and Tyler are actually sisters and brothers.
Oh, okay.
Um, and they're no relation to Dr.
Dr. Davis.
Davis.
No, I don't have any Davis cousins that are actually Davises. Isn't that interesting?
Really?
No.
So now Tyler, tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you want to be when you grow up.
Hi, my name is Tyler. I'm in the 10th grade. I go to Michelle Obama Early College High School. It took a little college. It was a long name. But when I get older or when I grow up, I want to be an astronomer.
Oh,
Wow.
wow. That's
That's so
awesome. I haven't heard
good.
that
Wow.
one like in a while. Like I've heard meteorologists, and
Uh-huh.
man, an astronomer. That's pretty awesome. And with everything going on in the world, we need those to determine what's going to happen to the sun and all the
That's
planets and
Yes,
good.
everything.
ma'am.
That's pretty awesome.
I
Thank you.
wanna, man, I need to get a astronomer featured in the
Yeah,
calendar. I'm gonna
yeah, we
try
have
to
to
find
find
one for
one.
you.
Yeah, I'm sure it's one of us somewhere.
Yeah, 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 it is. I'm gonna find them.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't know Michelle had a school already.
Oh, yes, ma'am. It's in Jackson.
Okay, okay.
Yes,
Now,
ma'am.
how long has that school been established in?
Um, like 2 years, cause
Oh, it's
the
new.
tenth graders. Well, last year, it was just us and the tenth graders, and they started with one grade, and they just
Okay.
increasing over time.
Oh, okay. They're adding a grade every year then.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
how a
that's
lot of them
cool.
start off. They start with the freshman class and then just add. That's pretty cool. And then it's connected to Tougaloo, you said?
Yes, ma'am. We're on the
Which is,
Tugela
oh,
College
wow, which is even
campus.
more awesome. That's
Yes,
even
Mm,
a
ma'am.
good
We get to
school.
experience it too.
Yeah,
that
yeah, to
is
get some of
good.
the college life for sure.
So now, Asha, we're going to start with you. What's your question for Dr. Davis?
My first question for Dr. Davis is, have you always wanted to own your own practice?
Nope. No, no, no. When I first started out in veterinary medicine, I said I never was going to own a practice. After 10 years in private practice, I'd probably do relief work and all these things. And an opportunity presented itself to purchase the practice where I was working. And I mean, I already had a clientele base established. I had been there for some time already. And it just kind of happened. But I never wanted to. I never wanted that commitment of owning a practice. It's a lot of work. A lot of work. And so, but no, I didn't want to initially.
What made you change your mind then?
Just the situation. My former boss and had a really good relationship. We had a very strong clientele base, and so the transition was going to be pretty much seamless. I thought, right? But nothing's
Hmm.
ever seamless, and things don't always go as smooth as you plan. But it did work out, and we were able to proceed with everything. But I know, just talking with my then husband and with him, and I just thought it may be a good idea for long term, hoping that maybe, my son may show interest, or a niece or
Mm,
nephew or someone. And there's some extended family members who are interested, but by the time they'll be ready, I'll be ready to retire. And so, it may not, benefit them in the way I was maybe hoping that it would. But
okay.
I was just thinking about long term benefits of, you know, practice ownership. But no, in the
Hmm.
beginning, I didn't want to. I had no desire at all.
Yeah, yeah. So what's our next question?
So my first question to Dr. Davis is it hard to take care of the animals?
Yes. Not, oh, yes, it is hard. Because guess why? Can you guess why? I know you're very smart. Why it can be hard?
Because the animals aren't feeling well, maybe?
That's part of it, because sometimes when we don't feel well, we're cranky, right? But more importantly, they can't talk.
I didn't even think about that.
So, taking care of something or someone who can't talk, it can be very hard, because you have to depend on the parent to translate what they're seeing at home, um, to you about, the pet and what's going on with them. And sometimes the stories are not always complete, or they don't have all of the information, because pet owners, just like parents, work, right? And so they're not there all day, so they didn't always get a chance to see every single move the pet makes. And some things are so subtle that they may not even notice it. And so some animals come in and the owners think they're healthy and they're actually sick. So it can be hard because A, they can be cranky and not feeling well. B, because they can't talk. And C, because they just don't want anybody touching them. Sometimes, right now we're all practicing this social distancing, right? We're giving everybody space.
Yeah.
But in veterinary medicine, we can't give our patients space. And sometimes they require space and demand space. And so that can make it difficult.
That's good. That's good.
Hmm.
So who's next?
I have a question about
Hmm.
being a veterinarian.
Hmm.
So like, is there such thing as a traveling one? Like you could go different places and move around.
Yes, those are called mobile vets. I actually have a classmate who has a mobile veterinary practice, excuse me, in Virginia, and have some schoolmates who have a big sister actually from veterinary school who has a mobile unit in Atlanta, and a schoolmate from years prior, way beyond my my time there, that has one too. But yes, there are mobile practices. There are traveling veterinarians who, like travel nurses or travel doctors, serve as relief. They go in and help veterinarians who are in need of extra services, who may not want a permanent person, but they need some assistance, whether it's for vacation or it's a high time. Summertime seems to be a very busy time. Not seems to be, it is a very busy time in veterinary medicine. And so sometimes doctors need a little extra help. And so they'll have, doctors to come in, traveling doctors or relief doctors, as we refer to them, to come in and assist and give that extra helping hand. Maybe a weekend, maybe a few days a week, holiday, it just varies.
Okay.
But they're mobile vets too, and they have a van, and they could take examine your pet. They can give them vaccines. They can even do surgery in some of the vans. One
Wow.
of my classmates too in New Jersey has just started a mobile spay and neuter initiative that I think is with a nonprofit to kind of help animals get spayed. So it's all, yes, to answer your question. Yes, they do travel. They're mobile in different capacities.
So
Okay.
I have a question for you, Dr. Davis. I know that you mentioned during your introduction small animals. What is
Yes.
classified as small animals?
Um, dogs, cats, ferrets, are technically what you would consider small animals. Now, there are pocket pets and exotic animals that are small too, but that's a whole different category. That would be exotics, like birds, reptilia, um, what do you call those? Hamsters, guinea pigs, rats. Rabbits. I've seen some of those animals in on the small scale.
Hmm.
Um, like I'll see rabbits for certain things. I'll see ferrets for basic needs. I'll clip the wings, beaks, and trim nails on birds,
Oh
but
wow.
not on a regular basis. I mean, the drugs that are required to keep exotic animals and pocket pet animals healthy, we just don't see them enough, and so I don't do a lot of it for
Hmm.
that reason. And there is a couple practices that are nearby, and then we're pretty close to LSU, which has a veterinary school. So in those
Okay.
instances where we get those phone calls about those types of animals, we'll refer them out to New Orleans or Baton Rouge, or closer to Southeast Louisiana. There's another practice that does a little bit of exotics. We'll refer them out. But some I will see, and if it's like an emergency situation and pets suffering and they need euthanasia or something like that, but by all means, I won't deny them that. But for ailments beyond my ability to treat with drugs and things like that, I just refer them.
Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Jayla, what's your question?
My question is, how many years of college did you have to attend to become a vet? And was the veterinary program very competitive for entry?
Okay, so I attended 8 years of school to become a veterinarian, but that's just pretty much the basics. Like, um, some some students will do 7 years. So it's a 3+1. So they'll go to undergraduate school for 3 years. And then before they graduate from undergraduate school, they've gained acceptance into veterinary school. So they'll finish their last year of undergraduate school during their first year of veterinary school. And then they'll graduate. So anyway, on the minimal would be anywhere from 7 to 8 years. But there's specialty practices too, right? Like there's veterinary um, not gynecologists, oncologists, and veterinary dermatologists, and theriogenologists, which would be kind of like the obstetric thing that Nadia was talking about. So there's different disciplines in medicine. So The basic training is 8 years, but beyond that, it could be more depending on if you wanted to specialize. Just like in human medicine, right? Doctors go to school, undergraduate school, anywhere from 2 to 4 years. Then they get acceptance into medical school. And so it really depends on what you're wanting to do. They're required to do residency training, right? So in veterinary medicine, you don't have to. You could just go into general practice. So, like I said, it just varies, but the minimum you'll probably do is 7, and the maximum could be just depending on what your aspirations are. You know, if you want to be an academic professor, you may have to go another 3 or 4 years to get a PhD. If you want to, you know, specialize in eyes, you may have to do a 2 years master's program and 3 years of residency included in that. It just really depends on what exactly you want to do. Like for me, I went to school for 8 years. I have a bachelor's of science in animal science, and I have my, you know, doctor of veterinary medicine degree, you know, as well from Tuskegee.
Okay.
That's
So
a
I
lot of school.
that is a lot. That is a lot. But I like the fact that you know you stay focused. You know, you had a goal and you went
Yeah,
for it and
yeah,
you
I
did what you
did.
needed to do.
Yep. And you know what, Martinique? I didn't answer your whole question, Jayla. I apologize. You asked if it was competitive. Yes. Veterinary school is very competitive. There's only 30 veterinary schools currently in the United States.
Wow.
Yeah, a couple in Canada and in the Caribbean. But in the United States, there's 30. So if you think about 30 schools, the average class size is anywhere from 65 to maybe like 120 at some of the larger schools, maybe more. I don't have exact numbers, but on average, right, 65 to 120. So you think about that, right? You multiply 120 times 30, that's not a lot of seats. When you're thinking
Yeah.
about entry into school, coupled with when you think about rather human medicine, like right here in Louisiana, we have 2 medical schools here. You know, when you think about Texas, they have a couple. You know, Florida, I'm sure they have tons in Florida of all disciplines.
Yeah.
So it's just it is very competitive because of the fact that there aren't as many. It's just sheer numbers. There are not enough seats, you know, to have a large amount of acceptances. So it's very competitive in that
Yeah.
regard, and too with grades and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
just sheer numbers, it's, you know, the numbers itself is very limited.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So I do want to give a shout out to Calvin Brown. He said, "Hi Jayla." He said, "Great question." And then also C Payne. He said, "Awesome, interesting info." And then also, if you guys are tuning in on Facebook as well, make sure that you go ahead and share this video now, as well as if you're tuning in on YouTube, make sure you also get to share this so that more people will know about becoming a veterinarian, as well as know about Dr. Davis as well. So, Asha, what is your next question?
Okay. My next question is, what was it like attending Southern University and then attending Tuskegee University?
Attending the Southern University was the best. It was the best. And going to Mother Tuskegee was great too. It was an awesome experience. Two totally different experiences, however, the same in the sense of family. Um, you know, that's something that you get with most HBCUs is that sense of family. I learned who I was at Southern University, and it was solidified at Tuskegee. It was it was just great. Like some of my best friends that I have now attended Southern with me. I have a lot of great friends that I met at veterinary school. Some of the ones that I mentioned, you know, earlier. Just it was awesome. It was just an awesome experience. And until you experience it, um, it's just hard to explain. It's awesome. Like I have friends now that I lived in a dormitory with that I'm going to weddings and to baby showers, and it's just it's just awesome. I just can't say it enough. Attending an HBCU and then twice, it's nothing like it.
So now tell our viewers, what does HBCU stand for if
Okay,
they don't know.
yeah. So if you don't know, HBCUs stand for historically black colleges and universities. There are many of them, mostly in the South. I think most of the HBCUs kind of like from Delaware down to Texas kind of hang out below that line, but um, it's plenty. And there, for those of you who are interested, there's an online service that you can apply to 52 HBCUs with one application for like $35.
Really?
Yeah, it's called the Common Black College app, and it's awesome. It's $35, I think, in 52 schools on one application versus spending,
That is
money on different
smart.
ones. Yeah, every school's not included.
Hmm.
Southern University is on there, and I think at one time Tuskegee is. I haven't looked at the list for this year, but
Yeah.
it's an awesome opportunity for kids, especially with money involved in applying for schools. But
Yeah.
HBCU experience is like none other. Like I said, the family component, and because most HBCUs are small compared to a lot of the PWI universities, especially the big state ones, that's
What
why I think that sense of family is more experienced in those environments.
what does PWI stand for?
PWIs are stand for predominantly white institutions,
Okay.
and so your larger state universities and those universities primarily are primarily white universities or institutions. So
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, I understand. So what's your next question, Nadia?
So my next question is, did you have to go to school in order to get your job as a veterinarian?
Yes, you have to go to school because if you don't go to school, you don't have the credentials necessary. Anytime you enter any profession, right? You said that you wanted to be an obstetrician. You have to get training for that. And so you have to learn the skills, you have to learn the language, and you have to learn the ability to communicate that language to your clients. So you have to go to school for that.
It's a good question, Nadia. What about you, Tyler? What's your question?
Can you work from home as a veterinarian?
You can. Veterinary medicine is a very vast profession. When most people think about veterinarians, they think about general practitioners like myself. But the profession, it crosses into human medicine, it crosses into agriculture. It has so many different components. Right now, with COVID-19, there are veterinarians who are having to work at home because their state may be under a mandate that would not allow them, to practice traditionally. So there's telemedicine involved. So there are veterinarians who practice telemedicine. There are veterinarians who practice telemedicine. That's all they do to answer emergency calls when veterinarians are not in their practice. Some veterinarians are researchers and educators. And so, right now, many of those who teach in academic settings are home working. But it really just depends, what you're doing. If you're working for a magazine as a contributor, there's veterinarians who are editors for magazines and books. And so those individuals can work from home, right? If they're on the computer researching and writing articles, that would provide them an opportunity to not maybe go into a traditional office. So to answer your question, yes, there is a
What
possibility. But in the the majority of us have to go into a job, a physical building outside of the home. But many of us do have the luxury of working from home.
so what does telemedicine mean?
So telemedicine is when you uh, see patients virtually. Like we're having this Zoom call. So I would have a patient who was ill, and the owner I would send the owner a link. They would
Okay.
dial in just like we dialed in here. They would give me a history, clinical symptoms. I may have them to position the animal in a certain way, look
Hmm.
at him, and then we could diagnose and then treat the patient based on our conversation, clinical symptoms, and any assessment that I would make on the video. It's not always the best way to diagnose and treat, but when
Yeah.
there's no other option, it is something that you can lean on to be able to assist your patients in a time, especially like COVID.
Hmm.
Of course, when you're examining an animal, you want to be able, our patient, right? You want to be able to touch them and feel them
Yeah.
and see if there's any abnormalities, that you can see, touch, and feel.
Hmm.
So it's hard for those things like orthopedic problems, which are problems of the bones and joints. Um, certain, if there's like a lump or mass, the owner can say, oh yeah, it's this, that, or the other. They could show you a video, but you may not be able to determine the depth of the mass or how wide it is from a video. And so, it's great to have as an option, but it's not the best first choice.
So now, Jayla, what's your next question? So you're muted, Jayla.
Why did you want to become a veterinarian?
Good question. Why, Dr. Davis? Why?
I don't know why. It's interesting. Most students that I meet, let me ask you this, Asha. How long have you known you wanted to be a veterinarian?
Oh,
wrong person.
Jayla, I'm sorry. I got y'all mixed up. I apologize. You want to be a doctor. I'm trying to remember what did you say?
Sports medicine.
Sports medicine, yes. And that
was supposed to let her guess, Asha.
Yeah. I knew. I was like, oh no. And Miss Nadia wants to be an obstetrician. We have an astronomer, and yes, Miss Jayla wants to be a veterinarian. I didn't know that I wanted to be a veterinarian. When did you learn? When did you know that you wanted to be a veterinarian, Jayla?
I knew ever since I was 11.
Yeah. See, no, me, I was 20. No, I'm serious. No, really. It's funny because, okay, I'll just put my business out there. I received a scholarship in animal science to the Southern University. One of the best things that could have happened to me. I had been accepted to another HBCU, one that's considered a part of the HBCU Ivy League, and Southern University called and said, hey, look, we have a scholarship in, animal science. Would you like to come? And I was like, oh man, free money? Sure. I was like, yeah, I had already applied. I was already, accepted to Southern. I was accepted into the honors college there already. So it was just a matter of saying, okay, yeah, I'm going to come. And so I was like, I grew up in a rural town. My family were sugarcane farmers. So we were around horses. We had pigs out there, cows. We had trail rides on our family property. So I was used to being around. I mean, we had a Doberman that lived in our house. We had Dobermans outside, Rottweilers. So I was used to being around animals. So I was like, oh yeah, I could do this animal science thing. It's science. I'll do the pre-vet program because it was more science-based. And so it would give me an opportunity to apply to medical school, grad school, whatever. Like I had no idea. I just knew I was going in animal science. So for 2 years, I took all the courses. I was really enjoying it, made some really good friends. And so after my sophomore year, I had an opportunity to do a summer internship, which I think all students in college should do some type of summer internship, like at some point before graduation. But I had an opportunity to go to the University of Missouri. And so while there, I was working with researchers, and we were able to collect blood from cows. And I got to spend a lot of time with students that I met who were in the veterinary school. So I got, a chance to spend time in the veterinary school. I was like, man, this might be a little something that I want to consider, So when I went back to school that fall, our advisor was like, hey guys, because I was in an animal science pre-vet club. He says, next spring, we're going to go to Tuskegee for their veterinary symposium. So you guys can see Tuskegee, you can see, the Black veterinarians, and just kind of, network or whatever. And so after going to Missouri and the little seed being planted and then going to Tuskegee, I was convinced. I was like, yes, I'm going to be a veterinarian, just like randomly. Like, yeah, I'm going to be a veterinarian. That's it. And that's pretty much how it happened. So I'm very grateful to my advisor for, taking us on that trip, and for the advisors that I had in my department for setting us up with summer internships so that we could see, how animal science, works outside of, college, like in another university setting, and in veterinary medicine, and in agriculture, because I did another one once I graduated for the Agriculture Research Service. So, it was good that they gave us opportunities to, explore career paths. And so that's how it happened. I was 20 years old. yeah, 20 years old when I decided. Most kids are like, I was 5 when I decided to be a veterinarian. I was like, oh, I couldn't even spell veterinarian at 5. So yeah, it's that's awesome, Jayla. And what I'll do, Martinique, there's a program in Michigan for Michigan students It's specifically at Michigan State University, and I'm not sure if it's for like high school students or college students. But I'll send you the information so you can pass it on to Jayla.
Okay, okay, sounds good. Thank you so much for
You're
that, Dr.
welcome.
Davis. Oh, so what about you, Asha? What's your next question?
What advice would you give to someone that is thinking about attending an HBCU?
um,
I'm telling you, Asha, she about that college. She like,
yeah. Okay, Asha, let me ask you this: where are you applying to school?
LSU, actually.
Okay, and where do you live?
I live in Orlando, Florida.
And you're gonna apply to Louisiana State University?
Yes.
Oh, is there a particular reason? Just curious, because I'm in Baton Rouge.
I did a lot of process of eliminating, and I decided that I wanted to go to school out of state, just to get out of Florida. I've been here my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I wanted to be in a new scene, a new setting. And then they also have the program that I need that goes from pre-medicine right into med, which is exactly what I need, what I'm looking for. And then also Baton Rouge isn't that far away from Florida, so
No,
it was
it's
like
not.
if there's an issue that happens, then I can get home or my parents can get to
I
me.
believe that. I told my son an 8-hour distance so I can get in a car and drive. I'm gonna have Martinique send you some information about the Southern University because they have some scholarships in the Department of Agriculture. They have an excellent pre-vet program. The chancellor there for academic affairs in the College of Agriculture Sciences is my classmate from veterinary school. So that's a direct link to possibly some, scholarship opportunities. So I'll send that to you, Martinique, and you can send that over to Asha.
But are you saying that that the person that has connections, because remember she's going into sports medicine.
Oh, sports medicine, not veterinary medicine.
we gonna make you we gonna make you a veterinarian before this show's over, Asha.
You just get so excited, when you're proud of your friends and you're proud of your school, you're just like you want everybody to go. But back to your question about what did you say? How do you choose the HBCU? How do you choose
what advice
would you give to someone that is thinking about attending an HBCU?
Okay, if you're thinking about attending an HBCU, Louisiana, did you check out Xavier?
Yes, I did. I checked everywhere. I was checking like everywhere. I was going down the list.
Take another look at Xavier.
Or you should go on a college tour. You should go on a college tour.
You can't right now. You can't. COVID. The campuses, you can't go on campus.
Well, you can do
but a lot of the schools only offer sports medicine up to a bachelor's degree or to a master's, and I'm trying to go all the way through to an MD. So
what you do is you go and you take the prerequisites, and then you get into medical school. And then once you get into medical school, you apply to residency in sports medicine specifically.
But Asha, are you trying to just stay at one school and just finish it all?
Okay, yeah, she's just trying to stay at one school.
It's okay, Doctor. It's okay, Doctor. It's okay, Dr. Davis.
And nothing against LSU because I have a degree from LSU as well. So nothing against that. I'm happy that you're coming to Louisiana. You can get my information. But yeah, you should look at Xavier too. Look at
She did. It's okay.
It's hard because
I'm really picking, and I'm only saying it because of the question. But when a student is considering HBCU, the first thing they should do is make sure that HBCU has their major of choice. Oh, my mama went to Fisk. Oh, my daddy went to Spelman. Oh, my mama went to Howard. But if you're not, or Southern. But if they don't have a program, right, that suits what you're trying to do, then it doesn't make sense. It's like, why go there? Then you're like changing your major and trying to figure out how you can take this and that and the other and online and correspondence courses to be able to get to, what you need to get to whatever the next level of your career path is. So that's the first thing. You should look at what programs that they have, what scholarship opportunities are available. Make sure you look at the requirements to make sure that you meet those requirements. And then 2, location. A lot of the HBCUs, especially in the South, some of them are in more, metro areas, like Jackson State is in the capital there, and Southern is in Baton Rouge, Xavier and Dillard and Sooner are in New Orleans, FAM is in Tallahassee, but every HBCU isn't in, a city. And so, you may say, oh, yeah, I want to go to Arkansas Pine Bluff.
That's
And
where
then
I
when
went.
you realize that you have to drive into the woods to get there, that may freak a kid out who just looked at it and was like, I'm going to go here. And then you get there and it's like, oh, it's like a culture shock. So you really need to look at the location. Does the location suit your needs? Does the university have the program that you're interested in? And what opportunities can the university provide to you in the form of scholarships, extracurricular activities, housing, other financial aid? You need to look at those things. And that's for any school. But, in schools that may be in remote areas, you really want to take a closer look to see if that's where you want to be, because you're going to be stuck with your classmates, pretty much just with your your classmates.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then Asha too, like if you do decide, to just go to LSU, I think she's about an hour and a half from New Orleans, and then that has the three, that has Xavier and Dillard.
And she's like 10 minutes from Southern, and they have you'll
so you can get the experience.
Yeah, Baton Rouge has a really great college life. Like Baton Rouge has a good college life, and you have the two universities, and you have events, and I know the Black Student Union at LSU and the I guess SGA, that's what they call it. The Southern Movement. They do things sometimes collaboratively. But yeah, LSU is a great school, and for medicine and things like that. Yes. But like I said, Xavier is too.
Yeah, it was just hard. It was hard picking and cutting out HBCUs because I actually grew up in Tallahassee, Florida. So and my grandmother lived like literally 10 minutes from FAMU. So I was always
you
on
experienced
campus.
It in somewhat.
Yeah, I was always around. I'm like, I want to go. And then when I started looking, I was like, oh, I can't go.
What I need. Yeah, no, but LSU is a good school, and they give scholarships and things. And Baton Rouge is not a bad place to be, actually. There's shopping, food. It's not a bad place to be. And they do have a medical school. They have Shreveport and New Orleans. So yeah, that's not a bad choice at all.
Yeah. So now, Nadia, what's your next question?
So my last question is, what kind of animals do you work with?
Okay, I work with dogs and cats primarily, and ferrets. That's pretty much it. But some dogs are 120 pounds, 200 pounds. Some dogs are like 4 pounds. So some cats are 20 pounds, some cats are 6 pounds. And so, but mostly dogs and cats and ferrets, but not as many ferrets, only every so often, but mostly dogs and cats.
Since you have been a veterinarian for, I want to say you said 17 years, right?
Yeah, 17 years.
Is there anything like new under the sun for you, since those are primarily your...
No, I've seen it all.
Excellent.
From clients and pets. I've seen it all from clients and pets. But I mean, it's always, there's new and emergent diseases. Now COVID is something new, right?
Can a pet have COVID?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. They can't transmit it to humans, but humans can transmit it to them. Just like ferrets can suffer from influenza, human influenza. And staph and things like that. But yeah, they can get COVID. And so I haven't seen COVID yet. So that would be new for me to get a coughing cat or dog and the owner have had COVID. And I've had a few coughing dogs and cats that have come in, and I've asked the clients on our phone consultations, because the clinic is only open right now to pets. But I'm like, hey, has anyone in your family been exposed to COVID? Has this animal been exposed to COVID? Just to make sure that that's not something that I should consider, in this coughing dog or cat. But no, I've pretty much seen it all. It would have to be something just.
Yeah.
It would have to be just something really, really just in that 1% of things that you never see, But as far as most things, but I've seen almost everything. I don't think it's anything that would surprise me that came in.
Yeah.
It's always one nastier, like a cut. There's almost one leg that's more broken. There's more guts to come out. It's always, it's.
I don't see how you had the stomach for that stuff. Tyler, what's your next question?
Connecting to those questions, or what we just discussed, like, what's the wildest thing that you've like experienced in that within an animal, or like anything as a veterinarian?
Well, I can tell you this, one of the strangest animals that I've ever worked on was an emu. And I was just out of school and I was able to, I was out on a call. I was doing a preceptorship to get my license in Louisiana. And I was on a call with um, an animal hospital that saw all creatures, big and small. And so we went out to the emu farm and I got blood from an emu. So that was pretty cool. I sewed up a chicken before that was a pet. I see your eyes, Tyler. He's like, what? Well, this chicken was a pet, and a hawk tried to grab the chicken, and the lady was in distress. Like my chicken has been attacked, and I need help. And I called my former boss. I was like, hey, I have this lady on the line. She's like, want me to sew up a chicken. He was like, just do it. I was like, I don't even know if I have the drugs to do it. So I called my friends who work in exotic medicine and got some dosages for drugs that I had in my clinic. And I knocked the chicken out and I sewed him up and he lived a happy life ever after. I don't know if he's still alive, but he was alive after I finished and for some days and weeks after that. And the owner was very pleased. But I don't even know if that's like it's been so many like I mean I've seen animals with their eyes popped out, the leg turned completely around the other way. I mean, just it.
Let me ask you something, Dr. Davis. Can a person grow to have the ability to handle those kind of like gory things, those nasty things?
You know, some people never can stomach it. And so they learn very soon that this profession is not for them. Okay. They probably learned that in veterinary school. You know, on my job applications for, you know, my assistants and my client services staff, it says, can you handle the smell of blood or vomitus, which is vomit, guys. And so, because I mean, it happens. Like an animal may come into like walk into the clinic and just vomit, right? A person may come in and have like an emergency and may defecate on themselves, you know. So it's like you got to be able to handle it. I asked them how they feel about euthanasia. Euthanasia is when we put pets to sleep. And so I had one lady, she quit. And she was like, Dr. Davis, you know, like she was there maybe 3 days.
Wow.
I just can't handle the fact that we had to put that dog to sleep. But it said on the application that, you know, how do you feel about it? And she
needed a job, Dr. Davis.
Yeah, and she was sweet. She said, Dr. Davis, you know, thank you so much, but I just can't do it. And so you learn very quick whether or not, you know, you can stomach it or not. I can tell you this, probably in my 17 years of practice and in veterinary school, so that would be another 4 years. So in like 21 years, there's probably been only 3 things to make me gag.
That's good.
Yeah. And one time when I was pregnant in veterinary school, my last semester was some smell in a lab that made me gag in hot bathrooms. But then parvovirus, there was a dog when I was in practice that had parvovirus, which is an intestinal virus where they have bloody diarrhea and they vomit and they get very, very sick. And the smell of it was so intense that I gagged, didn't throw up, but I gagged.
Yeah.
And so maybe only 3 times, like I said, in mine, 5 would be the max. And I can't even think of ones, you know, that would stand out that made me gag. But you either can handle it or you can't. Like, I've learned too, like I can talk like and hold my breath and not smell anything in the exam room. Animals express their anal glands, which are scent marking glands. And my assistants were like, oh my God, Dr. Davis. I said, I don't smell it because I've learned to hold my breath. And you know, because you can breathe through your mouth and talk and you don't have to smell anything. So you do learn.
You know, I'm telling you, this is why this is so good because it's just stuff you just never think about. You know, how to talk and hold your breath at the same time.
The mask help a little bit now, but you can't hold your breath as much because with the mask on, you know, it's like. But when you know you're not wearing a mask or something like that, it's very easy to hold your breath and not smell what's going on.
Got you. So now, Jayla, what's your next question?
Did the college you attend prepare you for the challenges you face while you work on animals?
Yes. Undergraduate school, first of all, like in Martinique, you might be able to to understand where I'm coming from in this. A lot of times when you attend an HBCU, the schools are smaller. They don't always have all the resources as some of the big schools. So um, you have to think a little bit harder and find ways and be more of a critical thinker and trying to figure out things because you may not have accessibility to resources that some students at other schools may have. And so I think going to Southern, us having really great advisors and professors there, and them trying to give us experiences outside of our experience at Southern really, really helped. Not having the best of everything, but everything that we needed, made us appreciate the fact that you don't have to have everything and things don't have to be textbook for you to be able to figure it out. So when I got to veterinary school, if we didn't have some machine or whatever, then I knew that I had to think a little bit harder, more critical to figure out what was going on. So going to undergraduate school and having that experience and learning to, I guess, think outside the box, outside of what would be the easy steps to be able to get through a problem really helped in veterinary school because that's what we do every day. Like we're solving problems. We're trying to figure out the mystery of what's going on with this animal because they can't tell us and we have to rely on the clients. And, we may be in a remote area where we don't have an x-ray machine, right? Or we don't have access to a referral practice that has a CAT scan or something like that. So we really have to, think hard. And I think my experiences in undergraduate school and at Tuskegee prepared me for that.
That's good. That's good. So Asha, what's your next question?
Okay, my last question is to you, why is it important that more people of color become vets?
I think that professions should represent, there should be representation in professions. How can I say it? People should be able to see themselves represented in professions or businesses that they seek service from. Representation is important in all professions, not just veterinary medicine. Black children, adults, whomever need to see Black physicians like you want to be. Black veterinarians like myself and who Jayla, aspires to be. They need to see Black astrologers because you know what? Black people are interested in the stars and the moon. And so, when you can see yourself or someone like you in a profession, it gives you hope. Like, I can do that too. This is an option for me, right? If you don't see anyone that looks like you, how, unless you're just like think outside, you're just that type of thinker or explorer or whatever, like how would you be able to say that I can do that? If you can see someone who is doing it, then you can be like, well, man, yeah, like maybe I can do that. That's why I'm so amazed at Tyler. Do you know any Black astronomers, Tyler?
No, Mel.
Exactly, right? And so you're going to be a Black astronomer, and you know what? I think I saw one on, I did see one on, and I'm totally off train of thought, but it's called, it's on the History Channel. Oh gosh, I can't think of, I'm going to think of the name of it. It's a show about I'm going to think about it, but
if you think about it, let us know so I can reach out to that person.
It is it's a show on there, and they, I'm gonna think about it. When I think about it, I'll let you know, Martinique. But I think representation is important. Like you should be able to, if you choose to, if you're working in a Black community or whatever, then there should be Black doctors that you have access to, or any community where people are. Like you should have representation in the services that you're seeking, and in all professions. And so, because you should have it, and then so other people like you could see that it's attainable. Asha, that's the most important thing, I think.
Asha, I think that was a really good question. Dr. Davis, did you know of any Black veterinarians before your 20s?
No, not until I went to veterinary school. Gotcha. And this is what's very funny about that. I didn't know of any. I mean, the veterinarian that we saw in my small town was a white male. And when I got to veterinary school, the first person that I met in my department, I went there to go and ask about scheduling and registration, was a veterinarian who happened to be Black, who happened to be from my hometown, who happened to know people in my family, grew up with my uncles. And I had no idea because he left from our town, went to college, and didn't come back. So he was never in practice. So we didn't see him. And for
Yeah.
me, you would be it's crazy, like the calls and the text messages that I get. Hey, Tyra, my kid really wants to be a veterinarian. Can they call you? Can they email? And I say yes, pretty much to everybody, because I understand what it is to not have seen that. Maybe if I had saw a Black veterinarian right before entering animal science, I could have been like, oh yeah, veterinary medicine right off the bat. But it took me to have an experience to see veterinary medicine outside of me bringing my dog to the vet, right?
Yeah.
And then seeing all these Black veterinarians for me to say, well, yeah, I think I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
So
And
representation is important.
I would think that would be so empowering though, like just to see all of them in one space. I'm like, man, that would be
It is.
cool.
I was like, oh man, like everybody's Black, and not everybody is Black. We have I have classmates who are white. I love them, like from Hispanic classmates, from all backgrounds. Like Tuskegee probably has the most diverse veterinary classes in just in general. But yeah, it was amazing. It was like, wow.
Yeah.
And that's when it just was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And it's crazy because I had met friends the summer before at that internship who were actually in undergraduate school at Tuskegee, another one who was in undergraduate school at Xavier. We all met up at the symposium that year in Tuskegee. And out of the ones, like, I think everybody who was in that summer program with us, except for a couple, we all ended up at Tuskegee, like back to back to back. So it was cool. We had established these friendships at the summer internship, and then we all meet up at this convention, and then we all end up in veterinary school, kind of together. And still are friends with the majority of those people. So yeah, it was really cool. But representation matters. You should be able to see someone who looks like yourself in a profession that you're going into. A, because you should, just because you should. B, for mentorship, right? And for guidance, and so that you can have someone to contact, like, how did you go through this? Or how was it? Like, what can I do? What can make this, transition a little bit easier for me? Just having someone to reach out to is good. And especially if it could be someone who has the same cultural experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do want to just piggyback off of what Dr. Davis said. Tyler, if you never meet another Black man or a Black person that's an astronomer, I hope that you still continue on that path if that's something that you want to, if that's really something that you want to
and then you'll be that person. Like, I get emails and calls and text messages. That'll be you. And you know what you do, Tyler? You answer them all and you help as many as you can.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, Tyler, I know that you have one more question. What's your next question?
Like what are the work hours or work days that vet has throughout the week?
Oh, I never.
How many like, how many days of the week do you work?
I work 6 days a week. And some Sundays, but my clinic is closed on Sundays. So we do lodging services. And so on Sundays, if there's a sick animal that requires like certain medications, I'll go in. But at one point I was working 7 days. And then before that, I was only working 4 days and every third weekend because I had an associate, but I don't have an associate right now. I'm looking to hire an associate pretty soon. So my schedule will be a little light. Excuse me. But I work 8 hours usually a day, 5 days during the week, and then 4 hours, give or take, on Saturday. And that's if I don't have to stay to go back, like I said, if it's a sick patient in the hospital that evening, and then on Sundays. But some veterinarians work 60, 70 hours a week. It just really depends on their volume and the type of practice that they work. I have one friend who's a veterinarian. She only works 10 days a month.
Wow.
And then, yeah. And she does very well. And then I think maybe now she's backed off to 8. But, it just really depends on, what you're doing, what area you're in. and what type of work-life balance, if you're working full-time, part-time, emergency work, it just varies.
So now, Jayla, what's your last question?
Have you ever experienced any anxiety while working on an animal and not knowing if they were going to make it or not?
And it's the worst feeling ever. Losing a patient is a horrible feeling. um, the fear of losing a patient is especially as a novice, when you're first in practice and you're learning and you lose a patient, it can be very, very hard. I remember right now the first patient I ever lost. And having to make that phone call is hard, but it's humbling, and it's a learning experience. Anytime you have a situation like that, it's always a learning experience. You never forget those situations, and you always carry them with you. And so then you move differently when similar situations present themselves. But yeah, it's like not just even when you fear of losing a patient, sometimes it's anxiety in, like, for instance, you're in surgery and you're cutting or whatever, and you nick a vessel that you didn't realize you nicked. And you're like, oh my gosh, it's like the dog is bleeding. And so you like may have a section of intestines in one hand and you're having to get help, and it can be very, a very anxious situation, but you have to try to remain as cool as possible and let that anxiety be more like a driving force to get it done versus a hindrance, because anxiety can freeze you or anxiety can push you. And so in those moments, you want your anxiety to push you to be able to get the job done versus hinder you, and you freeze up because you don't have time to freeze up because you have a life that you're dealing with. So you have to take that anxiousness and that all that adrenaline and use it and get the job done. But I've been in a couple of situations. I'm like, whew, when I'm finished, I'm sweating. But you know what? It's that knowledge and just kind of just taking a breath and just using the knowledge that you know that you have, and applying it. And sometimes you can do everything, Jayla. Sometimes, Asha, you'll do everything. Little Nadia, when you are delivering babies, you may do everything right, and it still doesn't work out, right? You still may lose a patient. So you just have to just be confident in your ability, like I said, and use that anxiousness or that nervousness to your advantage to push you versus hinder you, because you can't choke up, not in those situations. And with time, as you learn, and you develop your skills, then you'll be able to do it with your eyes closed. The other day I was doing a procedure. I'm not going to say what procedure, but I was doing a procedure and I had a student visiting, and so I'm doing it and I'm looking away, and then I'm going back, and so she's like, and so when we finished, she was like asking me a question. I said, "Did you see me in surgery today?" She said, "Yeah, I kind of looked." I said, "I saw your face." I said, "Were you shocked when I looked away?" I said, "I could do this with my eyes closed." And she giggled. She said, "Really?" Because she wants to be a veterinarian too. I said, "Yeah." I said, "Because I can feel, right? I have my hands, and if you're doing something repetitive and repetitive and repetitively, and you got everything you need, you can feel, and you can feel your way through." So I didn't look away for long, but I did look away and whatever, and I was still moving, and she was totally shocked. But that comes with time. That's not going to be right away. And that's having gone through those moments that you're experiencing, Jayla, right? And getting through those moments and having confidence in yourself where you can get to that point. And if you never reconcile the fact that you're a novice in whatever profession you're going into, and deal and own the mistakes that you make, you'll never be successful. You have to take those situations, own them, learn from them, and use that as a force to be better. And before you know it, you'll be looking away. I said that. No, I'm just
right.
I don't mind. Everybody knows.
Everybody knows now. Dr. Davis, I definitely thank you for just being a part of my very first calendar and being a part of the show as well. So this is the last question. Why did you want to be a part of the Today I Want to Be calendar?
Well, for a couple reasons. One, because I was asked, and I try to, when it's anything that's positive and promoting Blackness in any form that's positive, I'm for it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Secondly, I think that, veterinary medicine is one of the whitest professions. It's not very diverse. And little girls like Jayla and all the ones that are in my inbox, they want to become a part of this veterinarian, but excuse me, become a part of this profession, but they don't see themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so I saw this as an opportunity for young girls and boys to see someone who looks like them, um, in a profession that they may desire, so that they can say, you know what, I can do it too.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why, because I think representation matters, and our kids need to see positive images and images other than what's the status quo as far as professionalism or success. They need to see that it comes in different forms and
Mm-hmm.
shapes, and not just what's so obvious.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Definitely, definitely. So I definitely thank my co-host for just being a part as well, being a part of the show as well. You guys did a great job. Thank
Yes.
you to my viewers for tuning in and sharing this video so that more people will know about Today I Want to Be, as well as Dr. Davis, and just more about her profession. Make sure you share this video so that more kids can and youth can have a better understanding
Sure.
of what a veterinarian does, and they can explore this just by watching the video
Yes.
as well. Another thing is, maybe you didn't get to ask Dr. Davis questions. Your local library is one of the best resources out
Yes.
there, so please use your libraries, as well as reach out. We have Google, reach out to these individuals in these different professions. They may not be in your city, but ask your parents if you can reach out to this person, just so you can also talk to them as well. If you're interested in being on our email list, so you can always be notified of our different career exploration interviews, as well as our products. And then make sure that you post your email or DM me your email as well, and then I will get you right there on the list. I thank you all again for tuning in to another episode of Today I Want to Be Career Exploration interview, and we hope that you guys have a great night. Bye
Good
bye.
night. Good luck to all of you guys. I'm in Louisiana, Asha. Reach